agree with this. I think what President Clinton said yesterday is yesterday or the day before yesterday is quite clear that it is not, the world does not want to just replace oil. In a carbon-constrained world, the world wants you to replace oil with something better. That's what everybody, I think, on this panel is committed to. Okay? Now, we can all dispute over degrees of how much better mine is than yours, but at the end of the day, this is what brings us together. On the issue of sustainability, let's just remember that sustainability is three things: environmental, social, and economic. And at a certain point, after if you've thrown enough money into the problem, you have, in the form of subsidies and protection, you have to wonder if that's sustainable. I think GM is a walk-in example of a company, as President Clinton said here, that at some point wasn't sustainable. We kept throwing money on it, and they kept avoiding some of the problems, and it never took off. And so as we think about these issues, let's remember that we can talk about trade, we can talk about sustainability, we can talk about partnerships all at once. We're a little bit more sophisticated than to think that we can only do one thing at a time.
On the broader issue of Brazilian trade and such a bold statement, I will tell you unequivocally, from the perspective of the U.S. ethanol industry, we don't think you should abandon your efforts at international trade at all. We welcome competition from your exports. We just don't want to have our taxpayers pay for it. That's all. Look, there's no reason for you to abandon a program in which you have exported some 500 million gallons per year to our country. Our program has not been a barrier to entry of your products whatsoever. Here's the deal. You know how this works. The U.S. ethanol program is founded on a market-based tax. Refiners get a tax incentive when they blend ethanol, whether that ethanol is imported or domestic. Now, if you were to have the U.S. just give up on the secondary tariff that offsets that tax benefit, U.S. taxpayers are now subsidizing Brazil. I can assure you that as much as we love you Brazilians, our taxpayers don't want to further subsidize your industry that you've built with 35 years of government intervention. And you've built a program, you've built a program that you should be proud of, and that other countries need to have the opportunity to replicate such that they're able to get into ethanol production. No country in the globe has been able to build and sustain a biofuels industry without significant government assistance. Those countries need to be able to be given the opportunity to build their industry without having to subsidize the ethanol production from someplace else. We're not coming to Brazil. We're not coming to Europe. We're not going anyplace else and saying, well, your government helped subsidize our industry. We're still struggling today. No, we're not doing that. We are encouraging other places around the globe to replicate what you have done, to replicate what we have done, so that we can build the production and use of this fuel, and so that we can make sure that it is a global market truly.
Bob, we will allow Michael is willing to talk right now, as I understood.
Thank you. I wanted to return back to the basic question, which was, should you abandon your exports? And the answer is dead no. And one of the reasons why is that as we move forward in time, the advanced technologies that are going to come into this space are going to require a whole range of different feedstocks. And one of the things that Americans need to learn is that Brazilians really grow sugarcane very well, and one of the things the world's going to learn going in the future is that there are a range of feedstock, there are a range of new technologies that can take sugar and convert them into jet fuels and diesels and gasolines that are totally fungible and might abort the need for the United States to spend $9 billion in infrastructure costs to carry other types of molecules. So moving forward, if you look at the resource base of feedstocks around the world, and you look at the global challenge that the President spoke of, President Clinton, about what we all need to do as a global community to address climate change, we need to bring down these emissions. We need to quit trying to put into pieces of legislation, protective pieces, either in the tax code, grandfathering ourselves out from climate change restrictions, repealing indirect land use things that go to the very heart of whether or not biofuels are going to be better than oil-based fuels, and we need to bring the ultimate consumer a better product that addresses climate change and addresses the world demand for oil rather than living in the past.
Another question. André, do you like... Oh, no, I won't miss that opportunity, André. Bob, oh, Joel, you want to like... Just a second. You like to comment on what Bob said?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Bob and I have had this debate many times.
I fear it, yeah.
And I'm still winning it. You heard him earlier say that he agreed with me 99% of the time.
As you can tell, he's got a little bit more firepower than I do in Washington. I wish I had that money to spend, Bob. And let me seriously, we can debate till the cows come home over the question of whether the tax credit for blenders, by the way, blenders are oil companies, not corn ethanol producers, actually is a subsidy. And if it is a subsidy, maybe it's an agriculture subsidy. Let's get into that discussion. But let's just say that that is something that would have gone to the Brazilians. Pull out your pen and paper. It's very difficult math here. 45 cents per gallon, okay? The tariff is currently, thanks to Bob's good work on the Farm Bill last year, 54 cents per gallon plus 2.5% ad valorem. Let's just say 54 cents. Pardon for my political incorrectness. Unless you're dyslexic, one does not offset the other. Now, Bob will immediately say he supports parity. Bob sent me an email last year. Senator Grassley guaranteed that he will make sure that is in the Farm Bill. I bet you he will continue to say that he supports parity. The thing is, he will not lift a finger for it. And why? Because it's not in his interest. Because 10 cents keeps me out of the market for a while.
Actually, what I've been trying to do, what I've been spending my political capital on, is building a bigger market for all of us. Nobody but the RFA and the National Corn Growers Association was responsible for that 36 billion gallon market than us. We built a big market, a market that Brazil is benefiting from today. And yes, I will reiterate the fact...
31 billion gallons into 36.
I'm sorry?
And you took 31 billion gallons into 36.
What are you talking about?
You took 15 billion in conventional, and you took 16 billion for cellulosic. You took 31 of the 36. There's an expression in Iowa that says pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Bob, wait. The microphones are open. If you talk at the same time, nobody understands anything. So talk as free as you like, but one at a time.
Let me just respond to Joel. And I will state again, yes, we do support parity. And I believe you have made a compelling case in the United States Congress, and I think it is coming. And we absolutely believe that the only reason for the secondary tariff is to offset the tax benefit. And that will happen.
Nick, you are in the position of a tennis player watcher, to the left and to the right, so please go ahead.
Well, quite. I think I now understand why I'm here. I think I'm a human shield in the middle of this this debate. Either that or I'm the white balance for the cameras. The question, as I understood it, was, I'm sure, posed to be controversial. To my mind, manifestly, it's a nonsense to walk away from markets that are there and will continue to grow. You have a premium product that can readily be sold into many markets, and to just step away for it for some kind of short-term or quasi-protectionist gain would be a missed trick. I watch with a combination of fascination and bewilderment the discussions that happen in the Americas about imports. Although the European Union has its own arrangements, the United Kingdom is very committed to open trade. We see trade as a very key way to ensure that we see security of supply and we see best value for the consumer, but also that encourages economic development which will benefit all parties. So anything that is counter to that, I think, would be counterproductive. Wonder what the next question will be and whether anybody will hit somebody next time.
André.
Well, in this very interesting discussion, we have to remember one thing. We Brazilians, and when we talk about ethanol and all that, we're talking about energy. You are talking about agriculture. And I think this is one of the big problems of the discussion of biofuels in the world, is that the main issue is that, as has been said, we are trying to substitute oil for something that is better. And the issue of if we have to pay or not tax or whatever, the duties to enter in the United States, the issue is the following, is that if you have an ethanol that is produced in a developing country that reduces the emissions of CO2 3 times more than another ethanol, does it make sense to keep it from not entering? Yes, from the agricultural point of view, not from the environmental and energy point of view. So I think that we maybe could separate the discussion, because the agriculture discussion is an eternal discussion that we had the Uruguay round, the Doha round. Nobody can reach conclusions about agriculture. If we're going to keep the discussion of agriculture, we're not going anywhere. That's what I think.
May I put you all, gentlemen, again, a question from the audience, which I think is very well related to what you are discussing. The question was in Portuguese. I'll translate my English. I'm sorry if you don't understand. I repeat and repeat again until I learn. It's related to several obstacles that the U.S. and the European Union impose on Brazilian ethanol. Are those obstacles in terms of tariffs or regulations really concerned or focused on protecting the environment, or are these obstacles purely a way to protect your own national interests, economical ones? Rob, you'd like to start? European Union?
Yes, of course I would like to start.
If you guys don't answer, I'll be glad to.
What?
I'll be glad to answer.
If you want
No, you just wait for a minute.
If you're at a loss for words, I'll be happy.
Brazil is overrepresented anyway on this panel, but I already cut off now. I already answered the question, because the sustainability are not there to protect the European producers. On the contrary, European producers need to deliver more evidence that they produce in a sustainable way than non-European producers. So this is really a non-issue. This is a non-starter. I would like to remind you, if you wouldn't know, that 10 years ago, you exported to the European market 3 million liters of ethanol. 3 million, that's not a lot. Last year, you exported 1.5 billion liters. That's a lot. And those who are going to say that there are obstacles to trade, they're probably right, there are obstacles to trade, but it is not true that you don't have market access to Europe. If we look at all the imports that are going into Europe, 77% of those imports originate from Brazil. 77%, that's quite substantial. And if we look at the imports compared to European production, we reach a share of over 50%. So I think that the European market is quite open, and it's quite balanced.
Joel, please.
Well, here's the thing. We keep comparing ourselves to each other, and we're having this is a fight over very little stuff. I hear Bob, I agree with you. We need to grow the market, and Bob and I have a very clear understanding of this. Here's the issue. Here's what rubs Brazilians and rubs a lot of people wrong. And I can give you the example in terms of the U.S. I'm sure some of my colleagues from UNICA in Brussels can explain this from the European perspective. But since the beginning of the Iraq War, where the United States has